at your
And that sound brings Ken Alexander to the microphone. Ken, looks like you have a Chicago Daily News there.
You got it. Yeah, that's right, yeah.
I'm guessing that is from June the 19th, 1950, which, as it happens, is the date of the Night Beat program that we have coming up this afternoon on Those Were the Days.
That is the exact date.
Woohoo!
I'll read you some hard news first.
Okay.
Let's see, bulletins from Washington. House tax writers voted today to increase corporation income tax rates to bring in an additional $433 million a year. A bill authorizing the Navy to build an atomic-powered submarine and other new type vessels was approved today by a Senate Armed Services Committee. The measure, authorizing $350 million worth of work, already has House approval. And, let's see. From Tokyo, General MacArthur has told Defense Secretary Johnson that Japan is the one bright spot in a dark picture of communist advances over Asia, informed sources report. MacArthur has talked at length with Johnson and General Bradley, chairman of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff, since they arrived early Sunday for major conferences on American policy in the Far East. Informants said MacArthur cited the recent parliamentary elections here in Tokyo as evidence of the Japanese rejection of communists. And here this is from Seoul, Korea. John Foster Dulles, Republican advisor to the U.S. State Department, predicted Monday Northern Korea eventually will desert the communist camp and unite with Southern Korea. And let's see.
Did not quite happen that way, is it?
No. Here's something from Springfield, Illinois. Governor Stevenson, that's Adlai Stevenson, who 2 years hence would be running for president of the United States in 52. Governor Stevenson opened a special session of the state legislature Monday afternoon with a speech outlining the financial, quote, crisis faced by city governments. The governor urged the legislators to pass laws that would help cities help themselves get new revenues locally. Most of Stevenson's speech before a joint meeting of the House and Senate touched on the financial plight of cities, particularly Chicago. This is the hottest issue before this special session. The governor said the state could not help cities with grants of money because the state treasury itself is scraping bottom and will need new sources of cash next year. And this is June 20th, which means the summer is soon will be upon us. It says the weatherman took a look into the future and shivered Monday. Still can't see any warm weather, at least through Wednesday, said forecaster I.W. Brunk. And Wednesday, he sadly pointed out, is when summer arrives, astronomically speaking, at 6:37 p.m. Normally, the temperature should be getting up to 80 at this time of year, said Brunk, but this his instruments and charts indicate it will go only to 68 Tuesday and 65 Wednesday. Low reading for the next 2 nights will be 52 and 54 respectively, Brunk predicted. Sunday's high of 53 made it the coolest June 18th in Chicago's history.
Wow.
And here's something.
I have to say, in March 2013, we would probably give a right arm for 60-degree weather in Chicago.
Oh, yeah. Here's something. The bottom of the page, it has page 1, today's chuckle, a little frivolous item here. This is from an irate salesgirl. She says to a disagreeable customer, "Go easy, madam. The days when I used to insult customers are still fresh in my mind." Now, here is an item which I can hardly believe anybody could be that inconsiderate. Ewald Buchholz, 66, was back at his home in Milwaukee Monday for the first time since his mother sent him out to buy a loaf of bread 43 years ago. Reports from Milwaukee neglected to say whether he brought the bread. Buchholz's mother, Augusta, is now 90. Instead of completing his errand in 1907, Buchholz hopped a freight train. Until recently, he worked for a timber company in Tacoma, Washington. Why did he decide to come back? Buchholz explained simply, "The other morning I woke up and had the blues, so I bought a ticket for Milwaukee." And the headline says, "Sent for bread in 1907, returns with rye twist." Rye, W-R-Y, a rye twist.
Wow.
But I don't imagine, when he came home, did his mother weep for joy and fix him a good home-cooked meal, or did she tell him what a jerk he was? She probably thought he had given him up for dead years and years ago.
Sure. I mean, yeah, it's strange to just doing it. When we talk about the times changing, and of course, 1950, you didn't automatically have access to family once they left town. Now, of course, we can all call on our cell phones with our local plans and find out where everyone is at any given time.
Yeah.
You're right. I mean, that must have just been a baffling and, I'm sure, heartbreaking mystery.
Sure, after
that
the
mother.
first few hours, and then a day, and a week, and she probably called the police. He was a missing person. Well, anyway.
I'm sure it was a very awkward reunion. Let's put it that way.
Now, what if she recognized him?
That's true,
that
too.
long? Here's an ad for John M. Smythe. He
probably came right in the door and said, "But can you still do my laundry?"
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, John M. Smythe.
Yeah, I call it Smythe because they used to call it John M. Smythe, and then later they decided to make it sound more, I don't know what the word is, by calling it John M. Smith. But they had an ad here for a graceful mahogany occasional table. It's 20 inches square, 27 inches high. A graceful mahogany occasional table that will add to the beauty and convenience of your living. Top grain brown leather top, tooled in gold, sturdy quality construction throughout. It's $38. And I was mentioned that they had a store. The main store was at 703 West Madison, just a block east of Madison Halsted, which was the center of what we used to call Skid Row. There were men, traversing the sidewalks, asking for a dime for a cup of coffee, ostensibly for a cup of coffee, and
sure.
And they would offer free taxi service from the Loop to the Madison Street store. Attendant pays the fare, because people didn't want to walk around there.
Oh.
But they didn't say how you get back to the Loop again. Maybe if you didn't
if you bought something, they'd be happy.
Maybe they would, yeah. But anyway, here's another ad. This is for Capital Airlines, and you get to Detroit from Chicago for $15.25 plus tax. Take an hour and 20 minutes. And inside the paper, we have the radio listings here.
Oh, man, okay.
Let's see.
This is a Monday night, we said?
Yeah, that's right. I didn't say it, but it was, though. 6:15, we had Ladies and Gentlemen, Easy Azies.
Oh, isn't that awful?
Yeah, it is, yeah. And the Lone Ranger was on at 6:30. And then we had at 7 o'clock the Railroad Hour, sponsored by the Association of American Railroads. And Ethel and Albert was on at the same time. And Rudy Valley and the Hollywood Star Playhouse, all on at 7 o'clock. 7:30, The Voice of Firestone. Oh, yeah. And Arthur Godfrey and Crime Fighters on WGN. And then at 8 o'clock, we had, let's see, Igor Gorin sings. That's on the telephone hour. Igor Gorin was a Russian bass. And with Donald Voorhees in the orchestra. Murder by Experts on WGN. And the Radio Theater, the Lux Radio Theater. 8:30 brought us Band of America with Paul Laval directing. And Murder at Midnight. 9 o'clock we had Night Beat.
Hey.
Sounds interesting?
Yes. I think we'll hear that at about 2:30 today.
I'll be waiting with bated breath. Germany said put a... What is that?
Is that what that is?
Oh, naughty. My friend Irma was on also. And Skip Farrell was on 9:50. He was a local baritone, a local singer, sang popular songs. And Mystery is My Hobby was on WGN at 9:30. Bob Hawke. And then back at 10 o'clock we had Behind the Story, Paul Harvey, and One Man's Family. We were in the early days of television back in 1950, of course.
Sure.
But there are a few shows that people might remember, at least by name. The Arthur Godfrey Show, because that was also on radio. And Al Morgan, variety show.
Oh, the pianist, right, with the flying fingers?
And he sang Jealous Heart. He was a singer, Jealous Heart.
Okay.
I don't know if he played the piano. He may have.
I may be thinking of a different Al Morgan, but anyway.
Yeah. there was The Voice of Firestone. That was one of the first shows to be simulcast on radio and television. The Voice of Firestone is on TV and radio both.
And Godfrey was as well, was he not?
Yeah.
That's right.
And then we had Candid Camera, which I remember, before Candid Microphone. Remember, we don't remember, you weren't alive, but you probably have some shows. I don't know.
I certainly, Candid Camera was certainly on television when I was growing up.
Yeah.
In some shape or form.
But Candid Microphone was entertaining. Alan Funt was the same, the guy who approached unsuspecting people on the sidewalk with a hidden microphone and a tape recorder or some kind of wire recorder.
That's right. And
he asked them to do funny things, and they would, and they'd go along with it.
Yes, I think we always used to joke, that's the show where the guy manages to go 30 minutes without getting punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, I know from some of those, some people were good sports, others were not.
Oh, yeah. I suppose a lot of them they couldn't use. They'd wind up on the cutting room floor.
Sure.
The Goldbergs was on television, 8:30, right. WBKB. And Studio One at 9 o'clock. Dr. Preston Bradley at 9:30 gave one of his talks. And Who Said That was a quiz show on WNBQ. And Ernie Simon, a comedy interview. And then they have on NBQ at 10:10, Dorsey Connors, it says, Chatter. Like when we had, Walter Winchell, it said, Gossip.
That's right.
Tell it like it is.
Wow.
I'll read you some of the movies downtown.
Oh, yes.
The Woods Theater had Night in the City with Richard Widmark and Gene Tierney. And they had a stage show, too, at the Woods at that time. King Cole Trio and Review with Benny Carter in the orchestra.
Oh, wow.
At the RKO Palace, you can see the Marx Brothers in Love Happy. And The Great Plane Robbery with Tom Conway. 50 cents to 1 p.m. when the price changed. The RKO Grand had Maureen O'Hara and McDonald Carey in Comanche territory, colored by Technicolor, and also extra This Is America, Play Ball, a little film called Play Ball. And Chicago Theater, on the screen Father of the Bride with Spencer Tracy and Joan Bennett and Elizabeth Taylor, a young Elizabeth Taylor. On stage, Peter Lind Hayes and Mary Healy.
Oh, my gosh.
Patty Thomas. The Freshmen. I don't know. There used to be a group later called the Four Freshmen, a vocal group. I don't know whether it'd be the same. Probably not the same group.
Probably not. I was just thinking Peter Lind Hayes and Mary Healy were also became television stars in the 1950s, didn't they?
Yes, The Novellos. And Louis Bassel and the Chicago Theater Orchestra. At the State Lake, you see Gregory Peck in The Gunfighter. United Artists. The Asphalt Jungle with Sterling Hayden and Louis Calhern. And at the Roosevelt, The Eagle and the Hawk with John Payne, Rhonda Fleming, and Dennis O'Keefe. And Destination Big House, Dorothy Patrick. And at the Garrick, The Savage Horde with William Elliott. And Richard Denning and Barbara Fuller in Harbor of Missing Men. And let's see, what else did I give you? The Oriental, of course. They had on the screen the Rogues of Sherwood Forest. With John Derrick, Diana Lynn, and on stage, in person, Jimmy Wakely, #1 Western star of Republic Pictures and Capitol Records, and the Rudells, and Carlin King, and extra added Ross Wise Jr. and Peggy Womack. So those movies downtown.
A lot of good shows and a lot of good presentations. You got a lot of talent there, both on the screen and on the stage.
Yeah. And here's an ad for the A&P, the supermarkets. A&P, the Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company. Arizona-grown, vine-ripened, jumbo-sized cantaloupe. Large, 36 size, each 19 cents. Sweet corn, 4 large ears for 29 cents.
Okay. Boy, I bet, even in 60-degree June weather, I bet people were a corn would have been a great way to spend an evening, cooking out on the grill or something.
You get California-grown, large-size, fresh apricots, quarter for a pound, 25 cents a pound. And hothouse-grown, red, ripe, firm, delicious, fresh tomatoes, 29 cents a pound. Boy, it'd be great. Now here's a cartoon.
Oh, you can tell summer's coming with those items.
Yeah. Here's a cartoon which I'll try to describe You had to be here. It takes place, I guess, in the home. Maybe it's in a, I guess it's Mopsy. She's about a 20-year-old woman, attractive young woman. And I guess she's in her home. And there's a young man, a photographer there with the old-fashioned photographer and the, the old-fashioned.
With the birdie and all that.
Yeah, okay. Yes. There's sort of a tarp over the camera. I don't know what that's for.
Sure.
Anyway, she's standing there, and she's holding before her a picture frame, which is maybe 18 inches wide and 22 inches high. She's holding it in front of her face and the upper part of her body. And she wants him to take her picture. She says, I want to save the price of a frame. So the frame will be showing in the photograph.
Of course, it'll be in the picture.
Yeah, that's not it. You had to be there. Let's see, there's something
Daily
else.
News isn't published anymore, is it?
Oh, no. That was, I think, 19... Why do you mention that?
It's just curious.
I think it was about 1976 or 78 that it folded, if you excuse the pun. Here's an
it got
item.
Folded up and thrown on the front porch of life. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's an item from London about Dorothy Lamour. Dorothy Lamour is en route back to Hollywood Monday with an 18-inch scratch on her right leg and a new girdle. An old girdle was responsible for the scratch, a really deep one, said Miss Lamour's London press agent, Mrs. Jack Oliphant. Mrs. Oliphant said Miss Lamour, changing quickly backstage at the Palladium from street garb to a sarong, ripped off her girdle. The stocking fastener on the girdle scratched her leg from above her knee to the ankle. She had to be taken quickly to a hospital to stop the blood, said Mrs. Oliphant, but she was back doing her act in 20 minutes.
Wow. Show must go on, indeed.
Yeah. Now, here's an ad for the Buick. Is the Buick the car that has been discontinued, or was that the Oldsmobile?
I don't know.
Yeah, this a couple of years ago. I think they were making...
It was Oldsmobile?
Either one or the other. They were still making one...
I guess Connie Shaughnessy...
Is the Buick the one? I think they were still going to make one model of the Buick, and that'd be the last one. I don't know which one that was, but this is an old ad for the Buick. Better buy Buick. That was their motto back then. It says, crossings should be seen and not felt. When the sign says, stop, look, and listen, the prudent driver does. But after that, what? Must you still move forward at a cautious crawl or pay toll in jar, jitter, and jounce? Not, good sir, when you're at a Buick's wheel. Now, good sir, back then in 1950, most of the drivers were men. Now, maybe half of them are women, but now, good sir, it says you step on the throttle, move easily, swiftly forward. Your wheels dance, your tires drum roll over rail and plank. But four gentle coil springs, one on each wheel, are working their magic, and you hear rather than feel the rough spot that you have crossed. It says that, of course, is only one kind of rough going you can meet in your travels. It's only one kind of discomfort your Buick's built to master. Besides gentle coil springing, every Buick rides on soft, low-pressure tires. Everyone is studied by a rigid torque tube. Everyone boasts a rigid, weave-proof frame, sure, soft shock absorbers, even special engine mountings to minimize vibration. And then they talk about the Dynaflow, and there's a paragraph telling just what Dynaflow is. So that's an ad for the new Buick back in 1950.
Pretty in-depth.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have the number one song on the hit parade for the week of June 19th, 1950 now, Steve. And it's some of these songs, on the hit parade are, you hear them later, they're period pieces. They were popular for a few weeks, and then, oh yeah, I remember that. But this one is what they call a standard. It's perennially popular.